was doing a remodel project, we covered these lights here, but I have a bunch of Carport lights that are T8s also, that the ballast is out and the lights out, so we're going to be changing them out. And I've got some end brackets that are mangled and messed up, so we're going to be changing these out.
So here goes. First I'm rotating one of the bulbs out, and then right here pulling the cage down. The cage acts as a protectant so the bulb isn't damaged by accident. Here I'm going to use this circuit alert device to prove that the power is off so I don't get electrocuted. And then I'll just rotate out the next bulb, slide it over into the light next to it. These are T8 bulbs. The 8 stands for the amount of eighths of inches. So T8 bulb is 1/8 is a total of 8 eighths, so like 1 inch. These used to use T12 bulbs, so these are a little bit smaller in diameter, thinner in diameter. And they're kind of nice, and the T8s is a little bit of an improvement in you only need one bulb in place for it to work. With the T12s you actually needed 2 bulbs. If one bulb went out, then both bulbs would go out at the same time. With the T8s it's kind of nice in that if one bulb goes out, the other bulb is still there to give off light. The bi-pin connector is the same for T12 and T8s. You can use either one, but you need a special ballast for the T8s. You can actually put a T8 bulb into it, use it with a T12 ballast, but it'll reduce the life of the bulb. So you definitely want to have the correct ballast and the correct bulb type or lamp type. Matching. There's different color spectrums out there, which is usually indicated by Kelvin or K. 2700K is like more yellow in color, whereas 4100 or 5000K would be whiter or whiter bluish in color. Actually, I like the 4100K, but the effect of the light is different as far as all lights get a little bit dimmer over time, fluorescent lights, and the 2700 is more forgiving for that, but I still kind of like the 4100K. Here's the bi-pin ends and the sockets. These are somewhat interchangeable. A lot of times the fixture itself doesn't necessarily match up in size. Like this one, I took out one side panel, which has 2 wires going to it for the bi-pin, and that little side panel actually didn't measure up to the old one, but you can change out the individual bi-pins. So that's what I did, is take off the bi-pins from the new one and swap just the bi-pins and the wires out to the old one. So here I'm disconnected that. The ballast has basically a hot and a neutral coming off of it. That's where your power comes in. And then it feeds over to these wires here. There's 2 wires on one side bringing the power, and then on the other side is the one wire separated, and that goes to the opposite side of 2 sets of 2 bi-pins. Mostly just kind of mimicking what you see. Each individual bi-pin has 2 wires going to it, which connects to one of the wires from the ballast. So here I'm trying to line up the new one and dawning on me that the profile of the other fixture was different, and so I'm going to need to readjust and I need to change out the individual parts of the bi-pins, which is really easy. They just slide right out. So here I'm sliding one out, sliding it in. Just got basically 2 slots that allow it to slide in. Really, really simple. So almost plug and play. So you can see one of the bi-pins had 2 blue wires coming off of it, which connect to one of the wires from the ballast. The other bi-pin had 2 red wires which connect to another of the wires from the ballast. So usually blue, sometimes red. So here I'm putting the wire connector on. It's not that easy to see here, but there's one wire that goes to the 2 wires that go to each side of the bi-pin. And same with the other bi-pin here. And then I'll show you the other lamp side, how that works. Here's the other side, which I didn't need for this one, but recovered for future use. You can see it's got 2 yellow wires going to one bi-pin, and then it just jumps over to the other pin. So it's only 1 wire from the ballast going to that side, and then it's 2 wires going to this side. Anyway, tucking in all the wiring here. This one I only had one side that the bi-pins were just like completely fried, burnt out. So replace those, and then I'll put the holes back in and test it out here. Once I get the lights all set back in, the 2 pins just line up and down, push up and in, and then rotate to the side. Nice and gentle, not forcing anything, just getting it home. Once that's done, I need to set up the photocell so it'll turn on, so I need to cover it. You might see my other video on this where I use a bottle so I'm not getting tape residue on the photocell itself. I think probably a better way to do it. Here what I'm doing is going to tape it off, but what I'm going to do is leave some of the paper on the back of the tape, and that way the sticky stuff is not touching the lens of the photocell. I don't want to damage the photocell or leave more sticky stuff so that it doesn't turn off when it should, or adjust it. On the photocell itself there's a slide adjustment that allows you to have less light turn on the lights or more light. This one just going to cover it up and get it going. Okay, so that worked out good. Lights are back on. Just need to put the cover back on, so I'll be removing the lamps and sliding them over and put the cover back on. Nice and simple here. The light fixture next to it actually wound up needing a new ballast. I didn't record that. I'll have to show you that some other time. It's really rather simple. I kind of explained it earlier, but it's got a hot and a neutral, and 3 wires, 2 wires going to one side of for the bi-pins, and then 1 wire going to the opposite side of the bi-pins where it's the ballast itself is held in place by 1 screw, and the feet of the ballast slide over into where it's held into, and the 1 screw holds the opposite end in place. It's really pretty simple. You can probably figure it out, but just want to do it safely. Turn the power off. I use the photocell to turn the power on, and then use the breaker to turn the breaker off, so that I was able to do all the work safely. Nothing kicks on by accident or anything, and that way I could control what I was doing, when I was doing it, when the lights are coming on. Just, once the photocell was engaged, turn the breaker off, make my repairs, turn the breaker back on to test it. back in order the way they should be. All the lights nice and lit up.